Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. For us here in Western Africa, or in Africa rather, we are in the afternoon. So wherever you are in the world viewing us today, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, as per your time zone. Today we'll be having a great discussion on inclusion and allyship in the eviction sector. And bringing this to us today is inspired by Glory Academy, which is hosted by the head, Gloria Dozien, that has put together a cohort of thought leadership women who provide different thought leadership in different fields. So, without going too much into details, I'd also like to thank my listeners, my viewers, and most especially my guest for today. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Adekunbi Elizabeth Johnson. I work as the global head of travel in Afrexim Bank, where I provide strategic travel solutions. I have worked in the aviation sector for about a decade now, and over the course of my career, I have experienced the need to be included, that which is one of the reasons why I am thrilled and excited that this opportunity to host this type of live interview session has come by. For me, inclusion means providing equal access to opportunities for people who otherwise would have been excluded or marginalized. And allyship to me means advocating or supporting or promoting a cause. And in the context of this celebration where we are, International Women's Day and all, the context is for us to include and advocate and support women in the industry wherever you find yourself. And today we'll be focusing on the aviation sector. I work in the aviation sector, and from my experience, I have seen that most of the roles provided to women are um, not fully technical roles or technical skills or on the leadership level. Most of the roles are on the customer service level or like flight attendants and air hostesses and the likes. Until recent years, I begin to see a trend come up most especially in our part of the world where males dominate this particular sector in some areas and also in technical skills like aircraft maintenance and the likes. So when I got this opportunity to do this interview, I thought to myself, who best would I use as a prime example of someone who has broken barriers and has excelled in this aviation sector. And I thought back to myself about one of the sessions we had during our cohorts with LinkedIn Visibility, organized by, inspired by Glory Academy. And I remembered one particular person that struck out to me. And every week on week, she always gave us different stories about her experience, about her tenacity and her grit and her success in the aviation sector. That is why she is my special guest for today. She is one of the few female pilots that I know, and she has had a career in the aviation industry spanning over a decade, rising to the industry's top by championing operational initiatives, corporate governance and policy, before a recent foray into the FMCG industry, where, as the high flyer that she is, she has become the country manager of a multinational group, International Beverages Consultancy, where she successfully drives the adoption of global business strategies. However, her passion for flying never dwindled, as she is an advisor to the board of Copter Jet International, where she's an advisor to the Nigerian member of the Flight Operations Panel. She was the Nigerian member of the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, represented at the African Civil Aviation Commission, and she sits on the board of the school, and she's also a member of WIMBIS, and she's also a member of NIM. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I specially invite my host today to proceed with us in this interview. Please put your hands together for Captain Mrs. Tolu Ita.
Thank you very much, Kobe. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for being here with us today. Even though it was a
Thank
bit
you
of a
for
short
having
notice,
me too. Thank you.
thank you for
Thank
graciously
you.
accepting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm sure ears are itching to hear. You've had such a remarkable career as a pilot and as a country manager now. I know a lot of people would like to hear from you. How did you become a pilot? Tolu, are you there? Please give a few minutes. I can see the internet is. Let's give a few minutes for her to join back. While we're waiting for her to join, I would just like to ask you, in the aviation industry, what have you noticed in terms of the presence of women in different fields, in either the regulatory field, either the promotional field, or the aviation, any part of the aviation sector? What have you noticed over time that you believe is one of the areas we should talk about on this call today? You can please send in your questions in the chat box. Feel free to also comment. Feel free to share your ideas with us, your thoughts with us as we go forward with the program. We'll give a few more minutes for our host, our guest, sorry, to join us. I received a message now to add her back. Could you please assist Glory or Palumi to add her back? She's trying to log back in. Glory, if you can hear me, please, could you please add Tolu into the call back? She's trying to join. A few minutes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, fantastic.
Because I honestly apologize for for the network. I really don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I do
Yes,
apologize
yes,
for
yes.
that working
We
transmitter.
understand this happens. Yeah, yeah, we understand this happens, but
And I even have
nonetheless,
my backup, both my main internet, backup internet all failed. But yes, they're back on now. Thank you. I'm here. Okay.
okay, fantastic. All
So,
right. So I was asking the pertinent question everybody wants to hear. How did you become a pilot?
so how did I become a pilot? As a young lady, I think I was amused at the mystery of flying. How what holds a plane flying up in the sky and doesn't fall down? And
Mm,
that was where that idea just came, that why don't you even actually fly it yourself to know what it's all about. So as a little girl, when they asked me, what do you want to be? I'm like, I want to be a pilot. And I say to my children that what you say, be careful of what you say, because you never can. You just might not never tell what could happen. And of
mm,
course, by all the situation around me, I shouldn't be a pilot, because of course my dad died late, died early in life and all that. So financially, my mom couldn't afford it. She had to raise 8 children.
wow.
But I went to uni, studied computer science, but I never stopped saying, if what do you want to be? I'll say I want to be a pilot. So while I was doing my youth service, of course, I said the same thing. If I have my way, I want to be a pilot. And someone just said that, okay, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs was trying to encourage women in flying school then. Because prior
Mm,
to that, I think there'd only be one woman in flying school in Zaria. So they wanted women to join in Zaria. Can you hear me?
hello. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear me well? So I was sponsored by the federal government to become a pilot. Federal government of
Mm,
Nigeria.
wow, wow, wow. And was your mom supportive? Were your siblings supportive? Didn't they find it? Oh, did they try to say, "Oh, it's scary. It's just a man's field"? How did they feel?
Yeah, so they've always known Tolu wanted to be a pilot growing up. So the only opposition I had was that was before when I was in secondary school, when one of my uncles said, well, the cockpit isn't for girls, it's for men. That's why don't I go and do other courses, which is what, well, then I went to study computer science. So now that I've finished, graduated from computer science, and I still wanted to be a pilot, and then the opportunity came, actually there was no stopping me. Nobody, everybody just wished me well. That well, the dreams to come true. Yeah.
Great, fantastic, fantastic. For can you tell us a bit more about your journey from being a pilot to your current role now in the beverage industry?
Okay.
Did you get me? Tolu, did you get me? Hello, Tolu? You're frozen. Hello?
Can you hear me
Hel-
now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you perfectly now.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um, so can you tell me, how have you been able to navigate through a male-dominated field, as a pilot, as a female pilot?
Okay. Um, uh, to be honest, the men there in this industry have been very, very supportive, and I have to say kudos to Nigeria, because when it comes to being a pilot, Nigeria should be one of the leading countries in the world with the
Wow.
highest representation of women. Yes, it is quite amazing. In fact, it's like a normal, women have managed to make flying a normal career, as in they do everything every other women in other profession are able to do. At the beginning, it was tough,
Mm,
because of course we were, some of us were pioneers at the beginning, and we had to juggle things, different hats, and made sacrifices and all that. And but now it's easy to, because growing up, people didn't know how to accept support. They
mm,
want to be superhuman. So, so when some of us, like for me, I know being a pilot, I can't say I'm going to come and want to cook one delicacy. Of course, I have to have a cook. I have to
mm,
have a nanny, and those are some of the things that you have to know which one to give up, which one to stay with for your, because you have to make a success. I wanted to make a success of both my career and my family life. And so I had to learn to accept help, call for good help. And yeah, somehow we've survived. And then the men in the industry are kind of, I have to commend the pilots in Nigerian pilots. They've been quite receptive, and
mm,
a few one or two at the beginning wanting to, make you feel like, what do you think you are? But that
mm.
happens in any industry anyway. There would always be exceptions to the rule. Those are exceptions to the rule, I must say. Generally, the
Yeah.
men are, yeah, quite accommodating.
Fantastic. I've also, I also had a stint for 2 years in engineering. So I recall my first day in class, and it was a class of 70, and we were just nine girls or nine ladies. And I could see the way we were perceived when we entered the class, and then we had to interact, to sit, to do all this. And it didn't take them until after a while when one of the lecturers commended me for doing something right before they began to relate to me
Wow.
as a peer. You understand? So it
Yeah.
took a while for us to familiarize with each other, and then for them to make me feel included in activities or in areas that I needed to be included in. So which brings me to my question on, um, you've risen through the ranks in your the course of your career as a pilot. How did you navigate? How did you get there? Were there pushbacks, especially when you're going to the top? Because there's a difference between when you attain a particular level and then when you're aiming for the top. So, did you find obstacles when you're aiming for the top? Were people there to help you because you've been on some particular boards like the ICAO, which I know it's not a small show. So, can you just give us like a perception or your perspective on how this happened?
Okay, so first, I would first like to refer to your example about yourself, about being in a male class, and a teacher commends you. Generally, most men, the reason why they kind of have a perception of wanting to look down on us women is because they feel we can't do what they can do. But
Mm,
trust me, any man that can see competence, especially
mm,
when he's not like a male chauvinist or somebody with a complex, once they
correct.
see competence, competence always cures that men women perspective.
Mm,
So once you're able to hold out your own in any field, in any discussion, you add value when you're invited to meetings. You're not a figurehead. You're not afraid to address issues. And
mm.
when you have to come, responsibilities are committed into your hands and you handle it well. Trust me, they will forget that you're even a lady to begin with. I remember I was in a discussion and everybody was talking, and I'm like, hey, guys, there's a lady here. They're like, excuse me, the way they all like, excuse me, please. So for me, it was a joke really, but for me that was just the height of it for me to let them know that I was completely accepted in the fold as one of them. Okay,
Mm,
so my foray into the ICAO, so I wasn't on the board of ICAO. So I was on there's ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization in charge of everything about Civil Aviation Authority. So what I had a 3 year stint with the government, and then somebody recommended my name to join as an advisor. So every country would have a representative. So Nigeria has a rep on the on different groups. So
Mm.
because I was a pilot, as a pilot, I would typically be in what they call the operations group. So everything regarding to operations, flight operations, worldwide, the policies that develop that control flight operations come from that group. So I was opportune to join the best of the best in the world, in a Cairo, representing these different countries. So I represented Nigeria in alongside the member of that. So I went as his advisor, and
Mm.
it was so I was it was a very good experience for me, because you get to deal with people like that have very robust aviation, like the Chinese, the French. You meet manufacturers, you meet advanced lawmakers like the FAA, like the EASA, like the
Mm.
Australian civil aviation. So we it was really a very good discussion, and for me, I learned a lot about how policies are being built to then enforced and generate over time, and I was able to, in my own little way, contribute a little. In fact, it was nice then. I think that year the chairman of the group was an Australian, and he had to call and said, um, "We're wondering, where has Nigeria been hiding this young lady?" And that was what they told me. So I was quite taken aback. But we're like,
Mm.
"Tolu, please, we want to encourage your country to please always send you. This is quite amazing coming from Nigeria and also
Wow.
coming from Africa." So yeah, so that's it was nice to have joined the working group, but because I'm no more with the government,
Mm.
typically it's usually a government rep that sits here. So I'm no more with the government, so I'm no longer on the group. But even then, I was part of the African Aviation, African Aviation Authority, to AFCAC, sorry, African Civil Aviation Council or Commission. And then also we needed to also amend the laws and all that. So when it came to flight operations, because I'm a pilot, I was also part of the panel that did some of the revisions of the law. But all the seats are because I was with the government. I'm no more with the government, so I'm not there. But it was quite an enlightening experience to be able to sit along the best of the best in the world, and make policies that govern the world of flying.
This your experience is more or less something that is mind blowing, because someone actually recommended you for that role, and then you went to that role and you thrived in the role such that you had this wonderful experience. So that means somebody took the intention to made an intensive made it in their intention to include you in the first place,
Yes,
which is one
yes,
of the reasons why we are having this discussion. Also
yes,
centered
yes.
around allyship as well, because like I said, allyship is advocating or promoting or supporting a cause, and I'm sure that is what someone did for you in the aviation
Definitely.
industry. Yes, yes, yes. So with now that you're in the beverage industry, what have you experienced? Is it the same experience, or you think aviation has a higher hand and compared to where you are right now?
So there was something you said earlier at the beginning, that when you started in aviation industry,
Mm,
it's usually maybe the tickets in the support roles where you see ladies.
yeah.
And then, but now if the ladies are from top to bottom, you see women actively involved. So I would say the FMCG industry is not as mature when it
Mm,
comes to inclusion, and as much as the aviation industry.
right.
Because in my experience, you see when it comes to admin or finance in the FMCG industry, you see a lot of women presence. But when it comes to the actual operation itself,
Mm,
the FMCG industry has a lot of work to do. It might interest you to know that our company was celebrating training the first female miller. That's those that operate the wheat mill
Yeah.
just 2 or 3 years ago in the whole of Nigeria. And I'm like, I'm coming from
Wow.
aviation now, where women are everywhere, you know. And so they
Hmm.
could do a lot. We had someone, a young lady that did IT with us, and you
Okay.
know, where she goes with the male colleagues, maybe to go and service a plant or something like that, and then they are telling her, "Don't worry, just stay, wait," and she had to be like, "No, I can carry as much. I can carry the toolboxes. I can carry." So she had to. I was so when she was finishing rounding up the internship and she was giving her testimony, I was like, "This is it, girl. More girls need to come into the industry to show this, to let this men know that we can do as much as they can do. Well, maybe physical strength might limit us, but that's where we have the
Hmm.
machines to be able to support. And
Exactly.
even men too, there's a limit to what you should carry. So it's not about carrying weight it's about being able to fix and being able to climb, because there sometimes you have to climb some machines and all that. It's just like engineering in the aviation industry is not as advanced as like the flying aspects of aviation industry. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's progress being made, but the FMCG could make a lot of progress when it comes to inclusion and allyship. Because I take this as a challenge to see what we can do in that sector. And
Okay.
yes, especially because most meetings you see, maybe in senior management meeting, you see most times I'm the only lady there. I need other
Hmm.
ladies to join me. I need other ladies to join me, yes. And
Yeah.
before we go, I would actually like to mention something about the aviation industry.
Okay.
There's about advocacy, allyship, and inclusion
Hmm.
efforts, even in the industry. And I would like to commend some lady forerunners like Faith Odushola Bohem. I would like to
Hmm.
also commend Bolaji Agbelusi. And
Hmm.
we have our first female helicopter pilot, Bimbo Ajeyola. So all these ladies and a few of us, we've come together to form a group called Ninja Aviatrices. Aviatrices, this is a group of female pilots. We just completed the
Wow.
registrations of few together, and then we have. I think every year now we go to schools
Okay.
to give career speech about
Hmm.
aviation, and they will bring other aviators to support us to motivate the girl children, to let them know that there's a space for them in the aviation. And I would really like to commend the effort of the group, and if they could get as much visibility as they can to see how much it can even further drive the aviation agenda. Yeah.
Okay. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, just speaking to the story you gave earlier about the lady that was a first miller, it's also similar to something I've also experienced too before. Because while I was in the course of being reading engineering, you had to do industrial attachment. And then I was doing industrial attachment with a company that was building an oil tank. And so it was high, and you had to climb up to get to see what was being done. And then I would climb. And then the men would look at me and say, "No, no, 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 yeah, lady, don't do this, don't do this." And I'll be like, "No, I need to see what is going on." You understand?
Exactly.
I need to see what is going on. I didn't know that other people were noticing, because the people who were building the tank for, it was Oando PLC. The manager of the branch actually saw me and actually made a comment to one of the bosses there that he never knew that a lady could do this, you know. So
Exactly.
it was like
Uh,
of shock to them as well. So it just got me thinking that whatever you put your mind to do, you just have to do it in the best way, regardless of what people say. For you to be able to break frontiers, for you to be able to move forward, for you to be able to break any ceiling you want to break, there is
yeah,
really nothing limiting
for us to
you.
promote inclusion. Sometimes these men or the people that will tell you, don't worry, they don't mean any harm, but it's
Exactly.
their thoughts and their limitations that they've put on our agenda. So it's
Yeah.
up to us to say, no, there's no discrimination. Yes, it might mean well, but your wellness is limiting my gender's growth in this sector. So it's for
Exactly.
me to say what is expected of that role, regardless of that gender. I am going to put my best out to do it and not make excuses for that role. And then that's how we change narratives. And now it's becoming more accepted that yes, we can have female engineers fixing plants and fixing factories because of what that lady did. I
Hmm.
was super impressed, and so I look forward to her when she's done to join the team, and then we can continue to push the agenda on the women, the inclusion agenda, also in the FMCG, engineering and maintenance sector.
Perfect. Could you please share with us again the name of the school, the group you formed, Niger
Niger
Aviatrix?
Aviatrice, yes.
Okay, okay. You
Aviatrice,
could please put the
AVIA.
okay,
Okay,
Aviatrics.
yes, Niger.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
in the
that's perfect.
comments.
For all our viewers, if you have any questions, please feel free to send it through. I will check the messages if there is anything there. But quickly, while we are at it, I just want to share a fun fact. Okay, I've sent that. A fun fact, a quick fun fact. Which country has the highest number of pilots? Who can answer that for us? Which country? Going. From my research, the highest number of female pilots, the question actually is which country has the highest number of female pilots? And from my research, I found out that the highest number belongs to India. India has the highest number of female pilots. And also, another fun fact, is it true that you need to be a particular height to be a pilot? Myth or fact? I know Tolu here can give us the answer. Myth or fact?
It's a myth.
Exactly. It is a myth.
It's a myth.
Anybody can.
In trying to add some humor to our discussion, you know that there's some pilots that actually have this pop-up pillow, little
Ah,
secrets in their bags, yes, to make up for whatever shortfall. The most important thing is for them to fly it safely, but it's really sometimes it's even for extra comfort. But yeah, but
okay.
that's to tell you that height is not a limit.
It's not a
But
limit.
that was, and then you can even push the pillow. I think that was when we were in flying school. Sorry, let me
Mm,
take that back. In
mm.
flying school, because the seats were not adjustable. Now seats are adjustable, so you can move them as high as you please. Yes, but with the basic plane, they could pop up a little. So height is not a limitation.
Yeah, thank you. Quickly, if you could just quickly wrap up with a key note, an advice you want to give in terms of inclusion and allyship in the aviation or beverage sector that you think people should take away from today's interview.
Okay, thank you so much, Kumbi, for that. I would say in promoting allyship, in promoting inclusion and diversity in a sector, when you're promoting it as a woman, actually what you're doing is you're doing yourself a world of good.
Hmm.
Because it means that more women can join you, and then you're not under pressure, you're not under sports. What
Hmm.
you do to others, it's actually you're securing yourself when you, because there's some people that once they get somewhere, they believe others should not get there. They want to be
They
the only
removed the
woman in the
ladder.
room. They remove the ladder. But when you create several ladders,
Hmm.
and others are up, in case you're falling down, others can pull you up.
Hmm.
It's a guarantee for yourself. So this discussion that we're having, Kumbi, is actually us securing ourselves in our own sector, because
Hmm.
more women that join us, the more it's easy. The more it's no longer so easy for them to bypass us and say she's a woman, because there are many women. So being a woman no longer becomes an excuse or for why you should be passed for a role or
Hmm.
for a promotion or for some visibility. So that's my take, is that we need to drive inclusion as a personal, a self-preservative agenda,
Hmm.
so that it's the more the merrier.
Perfect. Perfectly said. Perfectly concluded. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could go on and on and on because this conversation seems to be never ending. The conversation around inclusion and allyship for women can never be overemphasized because no matter how well people say it, people still need to be included day in, day out. So I'll just try to wrap up by saying that at the end of it all, it will be important for women to be included and also for a lot of initiatives like the ones you've come up with, this Niger Aviatrix. We would employ and enjoin a lot of people to bring about this type of programs
Sorry,
as well.
could be for if I didn't come up with it, I'm just
Yeah,
one of the
it's a
members, of the
group.
board members. Yes,
Yes.
it's Faith, really, that Faith and Captain Bimbo Jayole are the main drivers of the group. I just happen to be one of the senior ones there. Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Good to lovely to have you. Thank you to everyone, and that's all for today. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us, Inspire Academy. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Tamam